Today I'm going to show you guys how I breed Medaka rice fish. I started out with about 15 and my setup is pretty simple. I just have this 20-gallon tub and these lights that I got off Amazon. In the tub I have some gravel, maybe some leaves, some rocks, and some dwarf water lettuce. So it's a pretty simple setup. I mostly feed them goldfish flakes. I like them because they're high in protein and the fish seem to like them too. Occasionally I'll give them brine shrimp, baby brine shrimp, but most of their diet is this goldfish flake. I keep them at about 70 degrees and I make sure to have the light on at least 12 hours a day. That's their trigger. And as long as I feed them enough and give them the right amount of light, they'll start to lay eggs. So I have this spawning mop. Honestly, the spawning mop is not my favorite. They're supposed to lay their eggs on it. As you can see, there's some really small ones, just a couple, but they don't like it that much. I was noticing that a lot of their eggs wouldn't end up on the spawning mop. So what I prefer to do is just to remove the eggs manually. So when I see that a female has eggs, I'll scoop her up. You can see the eggs are just right there on her back, and I'll lightly brush them off. That way I get all of the eggs. And then you separate them and put them in a separate container. They're really small eggs, but they're also really tough, so you don't have to worry about handling them. They do, however, succumb to fungus, and it's important to take out the ones that have the fungus on it every day so it doesn't spread. My first batch, unfortunately, I didn't have any methylene blue, so even though they developed, a lot of them got fungus, and in the end, none of them really hatched out. So round 2, I put them in some methylene blue, and that helped a lot. A lot of them were developing really well, but online it says that their eggs take 10 days to hatch. Mine were starting to develop eyes at around like 9 days, and it took 30 days for them to start hatching. So I'm not sure if this was the strain or something else I was doing, because they're developing fine, but they just were taking so much longer than expected to start hatching. But now that they're hatching out, I have a ton of the little guys. I've moved them into a separate container to start growing them out. They'll survive on their egg yolks for about 3 days, and then I've started feeding them little bits of powdered egg yolk, and I'll occasionally introduce some brine shrimp, but it'll probably be a little bit before they'll start eating the brine shrimp fully, and then I'll transition them to just eating the brine shrimp. So I'm excited to see how this project continues to go, and click subscribe if you want to follow along and see what happens next.